Alright, hey guys, welcome to part 12 of my ActionScript 3 platformer tutorial. The last one went by pretty quick because I tried to fit so much into it. This one's not going to have quite as much, but we're still going to get a nice amount done. The main goals I have for this one, we're going to get cloud blocks, which is going to be blocks that you can only stand on. They don't act as walls, and you can go through the bottom of them up to the top. So there's going to be some other things we want to fix as well, but that's going to be our primary goal. We're going to add that right now. We're going to make a new class for those. We could just extend it off of our block class, but I'm just going to make a new one. I'm going to call it cloud. And it's going to have a nice amount of the same code as our block. You can just go ahead and copy the graphics thing, except we don't want to have this be black. Let's have this be, I don't know, this is probably going to be an odd shade of blue. And then we'll get into the collision stuff later. We're going to need another array, just like we did with ladders. We're going to add all of this stuff. And then I don't know exactly where I want to add one. Let's put one at the top of this ladder. We're going to make it a 7. Scroll down here. If it's 7, var cloud, cloud equals new cloud. Cloud.x, cloud.y, add child cloud, and clouds.push cloud. Run this. Ooh. Oh, doesn't extend movie clip. There we go. So there's our oddly colored block that doesn't do anything at the moment. Next thing, we're going to, first off, we're going to need to add another one of these up here. Another for loop for when we save. We go CL clouds.length CL. Anytime that we add a new element at this point, we have to go through the same process. So I'm not going to be adding quite so many new blocks and stuff. It's going to be more player mechanics than new elements. But I feel like this is something that could be useful to know how to do. Finally, clouds down here. Make it empty. And now we need to make a for loop in our checkStub function to handle our clouds. So we'll go ahead and make another one. Make this one U. I don't think that's taken. Check obj char. And we're going to use onBlock just like we do for block, because really we can just take this part and throw it in public function check obj movie clip place int void, and then those. And then one key difference is in place we're going to put u plus blocks.length so that we don't have any confusion with indices as far as whether it's a block or a cloud. We'll just tack the clouds onto the end of the blocks. So I think if we run this, it kind of works, but we don't I don't like how you just fall right onto it. Like, if we take that block away for a second, we go ahead and look and see. It's a lot more gradual, so we want to change this and only have this apply when char.grav is greater than or equal to 0. Because we don't want it to happen as it's coming up from the bottom. We only want it to happen at the bottom. We don't want to say char. We want to say obj. Oh, forgot to add it back in. So now we go back here. Now it runs very smoothly. And it works just like it should. So that's really it for clouds. There's a few other things that I want to do. First off, occasionally when you're on a ladder, there will be a glitch where you climb on and you fall off. I don't know, I can't really make it happen on purpose, but you come down off of it, you jump off, and it slams you down because the gravity still carries over. It's just it's not being applied when you're on the ladder. So just real quick, one line we want to add when we hit spacebar. Actually, before, it shouldn't have any issue there. Sorry about that. We're going to throw the line in. Oh man, we're getting so much code it's hard to find it now. Right here. We're going to say climbing equals false, and we're going to say char.grav equals 0, so that he's just falling. He's not being thrown down. Ah, no, that's not. Okay. So we'll say if climbing, because that's going to run every frame that we're not climbing, and we don't want the character's gravity to always be 0. We just want it to be when you were just climbing. So now, if you were experiencing that glitch, that line should fix it. I don't know, it was hard. I can't purposely make it glitch. It only happens in a few rare occurrences, but it does happen every once in a while, and I don't like it when there's glitches like that that come up. So another thing we want to do is we're going to expand our maps so that we don't always have the constraints of this room. And one thing we want to do in order to do that is get rid of these things on the player. Because all those we're doing at first was just keeping it on the screen, but now that we have this camera, we don't need that anymore. So now we reach the edge, we can just keep going. And that's going to be helpful when we want to make really large maps. For now, it's not really, it's just a way for you to get lost if you want. And eventually we're going to have a surrounding border of blocks to keep you in when we make our final maps. This is still just a test map. So that's a little detail that we want to do. And one thing that is kind of important when we have like a big hub world and we want to go somewhere else, the doors aren't always going to be in the same place. I know, like on our two maps, the door is in one place and then it's in the exact same place on the other, so that the player doesn't have to move, but that's not always going to be the case. So we need to change it so that our player will move where it needs to when the time comes. So in order to do that, I'm going to throw in here when we make our new array and save the old one, I'm going to throw in down at the bottom of this function here in our door creators, we're going to add something that lets us move our character to the desired door. And the way we're going to know which door we want, this is going to be the room that we're going to. And the way that I'm going to program it, at least, there's only going to be one door that leads back to the room where you just were. And that one door is going to be the door that we want to put our player in front of. So in both our unlocked and our locked doors, we want to add a little if statement that says if door.dest equals current door.x equals, or char.x equals door.x, char.y equals door.y. It's a real simple little thing, but this way, if I was to go ahead and take our door from this one and move it, say, up here, and of course we want to have a platform we can stand on so that we don't just fall through when we land. We go ahead, play through this a little bit. Like I said, this is just a test level. Having that ladder there is kind of awkward. But now we spawn up here instead of down in the same place. This is where the door was. Now it's up there. I don't know if we're going to be able to get back up there. This is just a little test that I just ran. Yeah, we're not going to be able to get back up there. Let's put it back. But that shows you at least that that code works. And now we're going to go wherever that door leads to, anywhere in the room. So that's pretty much all I wanted to do this tutorial. I can show you now, since we took away the restrictions, we should be able to just freely add any rows and columns as long as we just, in here, rather than using 0 and 0, 0, we want to use index and index 0, because if all of our maps aren't going to be the same width and height anymore, we're not going to be able to just always use the width and height of the first one, because that's going to throw some errors if one of them is bigger or smaller than the first one. What that means is I can go ahead and add quite a few rows of 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, and then I'll have a ladder leading up. And then a cloud block on top, a few regular blocks, and I'll put the door here, take it away from here. There's only one thing that's going to stop this from running properly, and that's the fact that our default floor for everything is 450, but now if we're going to make this taller than 450, we can't just keep it at 450 anymore, because now everything, enemies and character, all of them, they're going to stop like halfway through the level. We don't want that to happen, so what we want to do is add another variable up here called default floor, and we're going to go ahead and at the bottom of our load map function say default floor equals maps index dot length times 50, which will give us the height. And then we want to go down into our block for loop in our check stuff function and add that as an argument for both the character and the enemy. And basically what we're going to do is we're going to add this in and say default floor int. Instead of saying 450 here, we're just going to say default floor, and now it's going to be whatever we need it to be for that given situation. Last thing you want to do is go ahead into your player and your enemy, go ahead and make your floor some ridiculously high number like 10,000, and then finally, just so that it doesn't fall through because the floor is 10,000, I'm going to add a row of 1s at the end of both of our maps. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Copy and paste that. And then I'm going to throw a semicolon in, then delete it right away just to make this look nice. And now, go ahead and save that, and we run this. We've got a nice floor at the bottom, and our enemies don't fall through, and our stage is no longer 450 tall, and we can change how high and how wide all of our stages go. See you guys next time.